Alright, what is up guys? Loser Manic here, and welcome back to another episode of Fallout 4 Strategies. We're getting to the useful stuff now, unlike those stupid magazines, and companions. Although companions are pretty useful, but we're getting into the really useful stuff here. We are getting into legendary effects, because that is what appears, because that is like one of the newer things that show up in, the Fallout franchise, starting with Fallout 4. Now, I do want to say one thing. Far Harbor did add some new legendary effects, both weapon and armor. So I am going to go over all of those, including with Far Harbor. Now, for whatever reason, I'm using a Kindle Fire, an Amazon Fire Kindle, whatever, that I had like whenever I was back in middle school. And this thing sucks, so hopefully you guys are patient with me. So yeah, if you guys don't know how legendary effects work, it's pretty simple. The best way to tell if it's a legendary effect is if there's like a star next to it. That is the way to tell if something is a legendary effect. Now, it makes things a lot better. So they do drop off of legendary enemies. Yeah, and I will also be going over some of these have unique weapons, or some of these unique legendary effects show up on weapons, which have a unique name. So if that is the case, I will tell you guys, what it is. And the legendary, I'll tell you guys what the legendary effect is and what the weapon is. I won't be able to tell you what type of. If I don't tell you guys what type of weapon it is, it probably means I don't know. And this Kindle takes forever to. Load stuff up. So yeah. So if you guys hear me talk nonsense or try to like space things out, just know I'm waiting for this thing to load. And I'll also go over like how to properly, if anything, I'll probably go over like the best way to utilize these perks or these effects. So yeah, and they're all in order. So yeah. So first off is the Assassin's Legendary effect. It does 50% more it makes your weapons do 50% more damage to enemies or against humans. It is available on all weapon types, so that's guns. So it's ranged weapons and melee and unarmed weapons. And the unique weapons is the Party Starter, which is a machine, or not a machine gun. It is a missile launcher that you can get from, I think Tegan. No, I think Tegan has something else. I think it's from Cleo in Good Neighbor. It's either Proctor Tegan on the Pridwin or Cleo in Good Neighbor. And the pint-sized slasher knife, which is something you get. Let me scoot up a bit. Which is something you get for the Creation Club. This one's probably the most useful because there's like a lot of raiders and whatnot. So yeah. Next is the Berserker. Berserker's legendary effect does more damage the lower the player character's armor resistance is, up to 200% at 0 resistance, and it is good for melee, and it only shows up on melee and unarmed weapons. Now there is no unique weapons for this one. This one is pretty bad, for the sole purpose of the fact that you are going to be armored anyways. And you do 200% more damage at an armor rating of 0. So there's no real reason as to why you should be using this one anyways. And it makes this one useless. Sorry. Sorry if I'm face down mostly towards the bottom. I'll try my best to be more presentable. So yeah. And like I mentioned, there's no unique weapons for this one because why would there be? Next is Blazing as a part of the Far Harbor DLC. Blocking has a 25% chance to set attackers on fire for 50 damage. This is melee only. And there is no unique weapons. That one I don't think I've seen before. That one's pretty interesting. I mean, I'd say use this one if you block a lot. Yeah. Bloodied. Next is the Bloodied legendary effect. Does more damage the lower the user's health is. 5% damage per 5% health loss, up to 95% damage at 5% HP. It says it's good. It says the lootable weapon types is melee and unarmed, but the unique weapon is a laser pistol. It is the survivor special, which you get during the Lost Patrol. If you decide to say, what is it, like Paladin Brandis upon the Lost Patrol, he will give you the laser pistol. Yeah, I'd say this one. I'd say use this one if you're desperate. Yeah, and this is my suitcase behind me. I don't know if you guys knew. Yeah, so next is Cavalier's legendary effect. Reduces damage by 15% while blocking or sprinting, for melee and unarmed, and this doesn't have a unique weapon. I don't know. This I don't block or sprint. This one seems more like I'm assuming this is good for like a weapon like Pikmin's blade, where it does bleeding, where you just stab it and go. That's about all I can think of. Yeah, plus if you block a lot, that'll be fine. Charged legendary effect, which is from the Far Harbor DLC. 10% chance to deal 100% electrical damage on a successful block. And melee, and there is no unique weapon. This one's pretty good. I'd say it's good. I assume against like synths, robots, and power armor users, even though most of the power armor users are Brotherhood of Steel and they used guns. So I'd say definitely not. Power armor users, but definitely robots. Preferably stuff like Mr. Gutsy's. Well, yeah, mostly all robots because they have a melee attack. So yeah, that one's pretty useful. Next is the Crippling legendary effect, which does 50% more limb damage. It's lootable on all weapon types. And the unique weapons are Eddie's Piece, which is a revolver. Wastelander's Friend, which I'm pretty sure is the 10mm pistol you buy from Debbie in Bunker Hill. And then the Last Minute, which is a unique Gauss rifle that you buy from who is it? Ronnie Shaw from the Castle. So yeah, this is also really good if you use the Boston Health or the Massachusetts Surgical magazines or whatever. But other than that, I don't really see much use. There is a better legendary effect, and I'll talk about why it's better if it's not going to be obvious. Yeah. So next is by far my favorite one ever, Deadeye. It is a Far Harbor DLC legendary effect, so it was added with Far Harbor. Time slows down for a moment when aiming, but it cancels all other slow time effects like jets. It is available on ranged weapons, and there is no unique weapons, sadly, because this is the best one ever. I feel like this one would be good if you use sniper rifles a lot. I feel like that would be useful. I feel like that would be the only time that'd be useful. But yeah, or if you use like automatic weapons, that would also be a good use. Let me try and. I don't want to show so much. Yeah. Anyways. Next is Defiant, another Far Harbor DLC legendary effect. The final shot in the magazine deals twice the normal damage. It's for ranged weapons and no unique weapons. Um, this one seems pretty good. I feel like it would be useful if you do what is it? Maybe like a Gauss rifle or something. You could charge that up and then do the more damage. Probably, I'm not sure. I have no idea which one would be useful. Or sorry, not which one would be useful. What how that would be useful. Ooh, I got a better version of this. Awesome. So yeah. So next is duelists. 25% chance to disarm attackers on a successful block. This is also a Far Harbor legendary effect. It can be melee. It can be found on melee and unarmed weapons, and there is no unique weapon to this one. I don't really understand the point of. I don't understand why this would be useful. Maybe I'm just not understanding it because I don't block a lot. But it just seems weird to me. But whatever. Next is the enraging. Critical hits cause targets to frenzy. It can be found on all types of weapons. And it does have a unique weapon, which is the Good Intentions, which can be found in Quincy. I forgot by who. But if you, it's one of the like 3 named NPCs in Quincy, so definitely check there. Yeah. This I'm not sure about this one also, because critical hits do like a lot of damage. And so even though you do a lot of damage, it would just you risk killing them if you spec into a lot of critical perks that like increase damage, you know. So I would definitely say that one is a bit kind of bad. But maybe I don't know. Again, with some of these, I'm not sure how they would be useful. I would say like put that on like a weak gun, so somehow make Good Intentions weak. And then there you go. There you have something. Next is the explosives, or the explosive legendary effect. Bullets explode on impact, doing 15 points area of effect or AOE damage. It can be found on all ballistic weapons. So mostly just lead spitting weapons. And the unique weapons are Spray and Pray and the Kiloton Radium Rifle if you have Far Harbor. This one's interesting. I kind of, if you guys have ever seen Oxhorn's character videos for Fallout 4, where he talks about his different characters, he mentions on how he likes the idea of the explosive legendary effect, but he just doesn't like using it because you risk pissing off, or you risk killing innocent people or settlers, and then you end up turning everyone, including your kind-hearted companions, hostile. So yeah. Next is the Exterminator's legendary effect. Does 50% more damage against Mirelurks and bugs. It can be found on all types of weapons. And the unique is Reba 2, which is a sniper rifle that you get from Salem, from Barney Rook. Now, this one, I feel like this is useless unless you do like the Minuteman stuff, where you have to like clear out Spectacle Island for settlements, the castle, or if you have the Far Harbor DLC, or I guess if you do the Glowing Sea, since there's like a lot of like bugs or whatnot. I barely come across a lot of bugs. Granted, I haven't been traveling a lot in Fallout 4, so I guess maybe it's probably a lot more useful than I think it is, but to me it just seems useless. Well, there's another one here that's more useless than this one. Next is freezing. Does 10 points of cryo damage and will freeze targets on critical hits. It can be found on all weapons, and there is no legendary effect. I feel like this one would be pretty cool to if you could put it on the cryolator. I know there are certain mods where you can put legendary where you can put legendary effects on weapons. In fact, I do a modded, well, not a modded playthrough, but I play with mods, and one of the mods I use allows you to add legendary effects to it. But by using expensive stuff, so it's not like it's all free stuff. So I'm not cheating. And I feel like something like this would like be a lot better for the cryolator. But I don't know. Next is Frigid, which is a Far Harbor legendary effect. 20% chance to freeze the enemy when blocking attacks, melee and unarmed. I feel like if you have the freezing one, you shouldn't really worry about having the frigid one, just because it's blocking and it's more readily available, because unlike the frigid legendary effect, which can be found on melee and unarmed weapons, the freezing one can be found on all. So yeah, this one doesn't have any unique weapons, neither does freezing. Next, we move on to my second favorite or most favorite legendary effect for weapons. It is the Furious effect. Damage increased by 50% after each consecutive hit on the same target. It says melee and unarmed, but they, again, just like but just like the bloodied legendary effect, they show it for guns. The Problem Solver and Splatter Cannon if you have Nuka World, or the Furious Power Fist, which you can get from Swan up in the Boston Commons. All I can say is be prepared to fight. He is a boss enemy. This one I really like, especially on the Problem Solver, which I prefer using this on like automatic weapons, because you're gonna be aiming at the same target anyways, usually. So you can just do more damage in like rapid succession, and it's pretty good. I really love this one. I think there's one or two more in here that I really love that I cannot go without. Yeah. So next is Ghoul Slayers. Does 50% more damage against ghouls. No effect with the Gamma Gun. It can be found on all, and there's no unique weapons. Ghoul Slayers, no effect with Gamma Guns. Here's why. Because Gamma Guns heal ghouls. So a Ghoul Slayer's Gamma Gun is like the most useless weapon in the game that they have. There's also they do have there is a legendary effect that they took out, but I want to talk about it because Vinylic Puma Gaming talked about it and how ridiculous it is. But yeah, so Ghoul Slayers, there aren't really that many ghouls. Well, actually, never mind. There are a lot of ghouls. Never mind. But again, these specific ones just seem a bit weird. I will say, in my opinion, it is a lot more useful than the Exterminators one, but definitely not as useful as the Assassins. Yeah. Anyways, so the next one is the Hitman's legendary effect, can be found on with the Far Harbor DLC. Does 10% more damage when looking down the sights. It can be found on ranged weapons, and there is no legendary effect. I could have sworn I thought there was. Well, no. I'm pretty sure it means like named legendary weapons, like the Problem Solver, Kellogg's pistol, and whatnot. But yeah, this was pretty good, especially if you do a sniper character, because you're gonna need to be aiming down anyways. So yeah, I also forgot to mention that there are like specifics, like can only be found on one specific weapon or armor or whatever. So I will be going over those also, just because why not? Yeah. So next is the Hunter's one. Does 50% more damage against animals. Can be found on all types of weapons, and there is no unique weapons. Now, this one, the only time I think it's useful is if you're doing survival mode, because you're going to need to kill those enemies, or going to need to kill those animals anyways. So other than that, I'm not sure. There aren't that many. I mean, I'm not sure how many. There aren't that many animals. There are animals out there, but there aren't a lot. At least not that I come across. Yeah. So next is Incendiary. Sets targets on fire for 15 points of damage. Can be found on ballistic weapons. And the unique weapons is the Ashmaker, which can be found if you do the Big Dig and side with either Bobby No-Nos or the fuck is Fahrenheit, I think that's her name, and the Gainer, which is a unique 44 pistol, which can be found, I think, northeast of what is it? Finch Farms. If you guys don't know, northeast, here's like north and east, and then here's northeast, and then it'd be like northeast. So it's pretty like, it's mostly northernmost northeast of it. So yeah, that was a terrible thing to do, but whatever. Next is the Instigating Legendary Effect. This one is my favorite for melee weapons, but overall it's not my favorite just because it confuses me a bit. Does double damage if the target is at full health. Is found on all types of ammunition on weapons. And some of the legendary effects is Old Faithful, which can be found which can be bought from Arturo. It is a laser pistol, or it's a laser weapon. Sentinel's Plasma Caster, which can be found by Proctor Tegan, and Ammo's Friend, which is bought from Alan Lee with the Far Harbor DLC. If you do Nuka World and you side with the Disciples, they give you a Instigating Disciples Blade, which is the best. It is so good, especially if you do Fudge Muppet's assassin character, and you know how to sneak around and get all those like stealth kills and whatnot. It is so much fun to just, and you're able to one-shot people. I've one-shot a lot of people with the Instigating Disciples Blade. Next is Irradiated. Does 50 points additional radiation damage. Can be found on all types of weapons, and there is no unique weapons. I feel like it's the same thing with like the Gamma Gun, where it's pretty useless towards ghouls. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Junkies, this one is a confusing one. Does 15% more damage for each addiction the Soul Survivor has. 100 and plus 195% damage with 11 chem addictions, 1 alcohol addiction, and Dark Craving. Some of you guys who don't know, Dark Craving is a survival only thing where if you have the cannibal perk and you eat people, that is how you get Dark Craving. Is you keep you just don't really eat human bodies. Then after a while you start to get Dark Craving. So I feel like this is only good for survival. Another one, Kneecapper. This is in place of the what was it? It was the I can't remember what it was. The Crippling legendary effect. This one's better, and I'll explain why. Kneecapper. 20% chance to cripple the target's legs. Can be found on all types of weapons. The unique weapons is Big Jim, which is a pipe wrench that you can find in the Walden Pond. So it is a melee weapon. And Sergeant Ash can be found on, or can be bought from Dejin up in Acadia if you have the Far Harbor DLC. This one is pretty useful if you use automatic weapons. It's pretty good on automatic weapons because it's pretty quick. So that means those 20% add up pretty quickly. Yeah. So the next one is the Lucky Legendary effect. Critical shots do double damage, and the critical meter fills 15% faster. Can be found on all types of weapons. and unique weapons include the Righteous Authority, which can be found by Paladin Dance at the end of Call to Arms. I think, yeah, the Call to Arms quest, more likely that's how it is. I can't remember. I haven't done Brotherhood of Steel in a while. And Hub's Alien Blaster, which you get by helping the Hubologist in Nuka World. You can get it by either killing them in that little roller coaster spinny ride thing, or or the Hubologist leader would just give it to you for free, as well as other or more fusion cores down on top of it. This one is an unmarked one. It is a cut one. Medics heals targets instead of hurting them. It is an unused. Legendary effects. That means there are no unique weapons. This one I feel like it would be good if, like, instead of healing the targets, it healed the friendly people, like your companions. That way, like, you can do like a medic's Fat Man, and then while it does the damage of a Fat Man, you don't risk killing non-hostiles or your companions or yourself, obviously. But or I guess yourself is not included in that. Gotta keep it from being overpowered, you know. So I guess if you have like a medic Fat Man, if they switched it up to where like it doesn't kill friendlies, then, or just kills only hostiles and yourself, that would make it a bit more of a risk thing. But yeah, if it doesn't, but yeah, it was cut because it heals your targets. So yeah, you have another reason to want to do that. What I constantly do, especially in Fallout 4, is I always come across like two enemies fighting, and I always root for one of them. So I feel like putting like a medic's legendary effect on like an enemy, or on like an automatic gun, and then shooting it at an enemy you want to win because you think it'll be easier to take down, then just simply like shoot them with that. But other than that, that just seems pointless, you know, whatever. But thankfully it is unused. Next one is Mutant Slayer. Does 50% more damage against super mutants. It can be found on all types of weapons. And the unique weapon is Virgil's rifle. Obviously Virgil's rifle, because he is a super mutant, and it can be found on Virgil. So if it wasn't obvious, by Virgil's rifle. The never-ending effect sets ammo capacity equal to the amount one is carrying. Excludes the laser musket, the syringer, the harpoon gun, and the junk jet. It can be found on guns only. And the unique weapon, sorry, I was struggling, is the prototype UP-77 Limitless Potential, which I think can be found in, what is it, like University Point, behind or in a bank somewhere. The Wazer rifle, which you get from Sean if you decide to keep him at the end of the Institute thing. And then the Eternus, which is a Gatling laser that has the legendary effect, but you only get it if you do Nuka World, and you side with the Raider bosses. So yeah, the Nimble legendary effect, another confusing one, provides 75% faster movement while aiming. Can be found on guns, and the unique legendary effect, or the unique weapon, is Death from Above, which I think that one is found on the Pridwin with Proctor Tegan, so that means the party starter can be found on Cleo and Good Neighbor. I don't really see the point of this one. I feel like maybe it should be on like something like the Fat Man, but whatever. You know, doesn't matter. Nocturnal does increasing amounts of damage as the night grows longer and less damage during the day, and this can be found on all weapons. I feel like I need this one. The amount of times I am constantly in nighttime is fucking insane. It seems like every time I fast travel, it's nighttime, but whenever it's daytime and I fast travel, it is now nighttime. It is fucking ridiculous. Penetrating ignores 30% of the target's damage and energy resistance. Can be found on Radical Conversion, which is a unique radium rifle in Far Harbor. Fence Buster, which is a unique baseball bat, also found in Far Harbor. Defender's Harpoon Gun, again, can be found in Far Harbor. This isn't even a Far Harbor, it's not labeled as a Far Harbor, legendary effect, so this is its own thing, from the vanilla game. The Defender's Harpoon Gun, I think you get it from the Mariner after completing all of her stuff. And Sword of Wonders can be found off of Oswald the Great. I think you have to kill him to get it. And it's found in Nuka World. This one's pretty fun to do. This one's interesting to use. If you have the Anti-Material Rifle Creation Club, then if you complete all of the Paper Mirror, then you end up with the Anti-Material Rifle having this legendary effect, and it is so awesome. It does more damage, and I'm doing a sniper character. I plan on making a video like going over like different sniper uses and whatnot. And so with this, it's really fun because it does the most damage. So that means it overpowers my hunting rifle that I use, and I used that one so much I went through 50 MG ammunition very quickly. Yeah. Next is Plasma Infused. Adds 10 points of energy damage, and can turn enemies into goo. It can be found on ballistic weapons, and there are no legendary or unique weapons. It's pretty cool. I feel like this is useful against enemies who are also, because the thing is plasma weapon or plasma ammo is very hard to come by. So this is pretty useful if you use ballistic weapons, and you go up against enemies who are vulnerable to energy damage. So yeah. Next is Poisoners. Target is poisoned for 10 seconds. It says target is poisoned for 10 seconds. 3 points poison damage per second. They can be found on all types of weapons, and there are no unique weapons. Seems pretty straightforward. It reminds me of like the bleeding effect. The bleeding. Is it the bleeding effect? Did I miss one? No, I shouldn't have. Whatever. I'll probably find it. I'm not sure what it is. Oh, it's that one. Okay. Let's see. Where was I at? Yeah. So it just reminds me of It's almost like it's almost like your enemies are bleeding, except they're being poisoned. Yeah. Next is Powerful and Mighty. Powerful/mighty provides 25% more damage, and it can be found on all types of weapons, and there are no legend or unique weapons to this. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Provides 25% more damage. This is pretty good. Imagine getting like a fat man that does this. You'll be doing a lot more damage. Probably not the best damage, but you'll be doing 25% more, obviously. Or put this on a freaking rolling pin or whatever. I think like a walking cane is like the worst weapon to have, because no one uses a rolling pin or a walking cane, but I feel like those are the two that. Anyways, Quick Draw costs 25% fewer extra points, found on all types of weapons, and there are no unique effects. I feel like this, or unique weapons, I feel like this is good for again, if you rely heavily on VATS, which I do a lot. Anyways, Rapid, 25% faster fire rate, and a 15% faster reload speed can be found on ranged weapons. Unique weapons include the Experiment 18A, which is a plasma weapon, which can be found by the Instant Requisition Officer in the Institute. Final Judgment, which is Elder Maxton's Gatling laser. And Protectron's Gaze, which is the Mechanist unique weapon, laser weapon. I haven't really had much experience with this, but it's pretty good for judging by this, I'm assuming it's pretty good for automatic weapons, but the problem with that is you go through ammunition pretty quickly. So yeah, next is the Relentless legendary effect, which refills action points on a critical hit. Unique weapons include Kellogg's pistol, which can be found on Kellogg, Butcher's hook. I don't know where you get that, but it is a Far Harbor DLC. I think you get that actually, now that I think about it, I think you get it from, it's probably either Alan Lee or Cassie Dalton. I'm looking at the wiki. Oh, it's a meat hook. Oh, it's sold by Ericsson. Oh. I didn't know that. Holy hell, that's pretty cool. So, who knew? And Cito's Silver Slugger, which is given to you by Cito, after you finish his stuff, in Nuka World. This one, I read somewhere that this legendary effect kind of replaces, Grim Reaper Sprint. So if you have high amounts into, 4-leaf clover, like if you have all ranks of 4-leaf clover and critical banker, you could easily do this one. So and you wouldn't need Grim Reaper Sprint if you do have a weapon that has that. My sniper character is gonna use the Relentless sniper rifle that you get by signing with the operators. So, and it's not gonna be useless because I am using Fuzz Muppet's sniper character. Grim Reaper Sprint isn't gonna be useless because I am gonna have backups. I'm gonna have the old reliable sniper rifle backup, so that's pretty good to have. Plus, it just makes the it just makes Grim Reaper Sprint more useful. So next, is the Resilient, legendary effect, which is a Far Harbor legendary effect. It does plus 150 damage resistance while reloading. It can be found on ranged weapons, and Skipper's Last Stand is the unique weapon, which is given to you by Old Longfellow after you do the Shipbreaker quest. If you turn it into him, he gives that to you. I think it's either that one or, that's not the only one I can think of. I'm thinking it's either the one that Old Longfellow gives you, which kind of confirms that the other one that isn't Admiral's friend, the other harpoon gun, is the other one, or this is the one that you get from the Mariner, but more likely is probably, let me see. I just forgot, I can just look this up. Given to you by Old Longfellow as a reward for completing this quest, Shipbreaker. Okay, so the Defender's harpoon gun is the one that you get from Mariner upon completing Hull Breach 3. So, okay, I get confused with these legendary weapons, especially in Far Harbor, or for Far Harbor. So, anyways, next, the Resolute legendary effect. It can be found if you have Far Harbor installed. Slows time momentarily as the last round is chambered, and it is a ranged weapon. I know nothing about this. Well, I know of it, but I've never come across it, or I've never really had dealings with it. So it just seems very it just doesn't make sense to me. It is probably useful, especially if you use like a revolver or something, like kind of like a Resolute Western revolver or something, because the Western revolver is like the best revolver in the game, I think. Although I think a Relentless Western revolver would be better, but whatever. Next is the Sentinel's legendary effect. This is vanilla Fallout. Take 50% less damage while standing and not moving. It's found on melee and unarmed, and it is on the Reckoning, which I'm assuming is, I forgot where you get that. I'm pretty sure the Reckoning is a Ripper saw or whatever. I forgot what it's called. A Ripper. Oh, just a Ripper. I was thinking Ripper Doc from, but that's from fucking Cyberpunk. Where can this be found? Oh, it can be bought from Smiling Larry if he's recruited and assigned to a weapon emporium. Cool. I know. I don't know. I feel like because I am doing weapon effects, but I feel like that way of having a legendary effect would be more useful if it was on armor. So we're like that. If you do if you have a Sentinel's weapon, you do more damage, but it just says take less damage. Whatever. Next is this staggering legendary effect. Chance to stagger enemies on hit. It can be found on all weapons, and the legendary or the unique weapons is the Justice Shotgun, which can be found in Covenant by Penny Fitzgerald, and the Harvester, which the Harvester is by far the most overpowered weapon you can have, especially with this stagger effect, because the Harvester is on a Ripper that does continuous damage, meaning the second you hit someone with this and you just keep going, they'll be staggering the whole time until they die. It is overpowered as crap. Next is the Stalker's legendary effect. Oh, they named one after me. Who knew? I shouldn't have said that. That's a joke. If not yet in combat, 100% increased vax accuracy, but costs 50% more AP. It can be found on ranged weapons, and I guess you guys probably take a guess as to where you can find this one. The Tinker Tom Special. You find it in the Institute. No, I'm kidding. You find this in the Railroad, bought by Tinker Tom. I haven't done this one just because I want to use a lot of VATs, which means and it costs 50% more AP, and it's on a sniper rifle, no less. Which basically means that since sniper rifles do or cost more AP anyways, that it would just you would only be able to get 1 bar of AP in. So yeah. Next is the Steadfast legendary effect. It's from the Far Harbor DLC. 50% damage resistance while aiming, so you know it's going to be found on ranged weapons, and there is no unique weapon. I think this one's pretty cool, now that I think about it. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty good if you go up against, like, a bunch of, like, automatic users, especially in, like, survival mode. Or if you have, like, really low endurance. So that means you take more damage. That one's pretty useful. Next one is the most useless one ever, in my opinion, which is the Troubleshooter's legendary effect. It does 50% more damage against robots. It can be found on all types of weapons, and I'm going to butcher this name. The unique weapon is the General Chow's Revenge. Hopefully I pronounced that right. It can be found by Trudy in the Drumlin Diner after you deal with their problem. Troubleshooters as a whole is pretty useless because you don't really come across that many robots. And of the robots you come across, a lot of them are pretty friendly. I would say the most robots you come across in one area would either be the Automatron DLC or, to my knowledge, if you do the Railroad Institute or the Brotherhood of Steel and you have to go to Mass Fusion to get the Beryllium Agitator, that would be the only time I would say that's pretty useful. Other than that, I could be wrong though, but I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. Next is Two Shot, my all-time favorite legendary effect. It fires an additional projectile, but has 25% more recoil, found on ranged weapons. These include the Big Boy, a fat man. Can be found in Arturo and Diamond City. Old Reliable, which is and for the Far Harbor DLC, it is a lever action rifle. an Overseer's Guardian found in Vault 81 with Alexis Combs. It is a combat rifle. I really love this legendary effect so much. It is so much fun to do, and it is goddamn useful. Next, there's two different types of these, so be patient if I say it twice. They kind of have different types of. They're both the name the same, but they do different things. So the VATS Enhanced for ranged weapons does 33% VATS hit chance at the cost, and 25% less action point cost. And it comes with the Deliverer, which is what you get after completing Tradecraft for the Railroad. Next is the melee and unarmed version of VATS Enhanced, which costs 40% less action points. This can be found at the Rockville Slugger, which I think is. I think it can be found in. From Mo Cronin in Diamond City, and then the fish catcher, which I'm assuming is from Far Harbor, but they don't label it as such for whatever reason. It is a pull hook. I'm thinking this is given to you. Yeah, purchased from Alan Lee in Far Harbor. So yeah, that one. I do like the VATS Enhanced. Ranged weapon style, just because I'm familiar with that one. So yeah, next is the Violent legendary effect. Deals 25% damage and limb damage, but has 25% more recoil, found on ballistic weapons, and is on the Le Fusil Terribles up in Libertalia. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Someone needs to chill out their motorcycle, I swear. This one seems pretty interesting, but it's the recoil I have a problem with, the plus 25% more recoil. But otherwise, it seems pretty fine. Next, and finally, of the one here, I thought about going over like all of them in one video, but I'm like 47 minutes in. I can't do another one of these, so this is going to be weapons only. And finally, we have the Wounding legendary effect. Targets bleed for 25 points of additional damage spread over 5 seconds. You can find on all types of weapons, and these weapons include Pikmin's Blade, the Bloodletter, which can be found at, Pikmin's Blade can be found at the Pikmin Gallery, given to you by Pikmin after you save him or kill him, whatever. Bloodletter, given to you after you complete all of Cassie Darn's quest in Far Harbor. And the Throat Slicer, which is a Nuka World weapon, and it can be found in Cassie Alden or Kaylin Alden in the Nuka Town Market. And this one, I really like this one. It's pretty good for like a backup use, you know. Anyway, so now we're gonna go over the and I know it said like and lastly, but I'm gonna go over the unique weapon effects. And it says, the description says, some effects are not randomly generated legendary weapons. These are known as unique weapon effects, and they can only be found by adding the effect through commands or getting the unique weapon that they are found on. And none of these, well, except for one or two, never mind. Two of these are removable. So yeah, and I'll specify this. There's like two in here. I'll specify which one is removable. So anyways, let's start with Adam's Judgment, plus 100 radiation damage. This is a Far Harbor one. It can be found on Adam's Judgment. And you get this by completing Richter's or Grand Zealot or Zealot Richter stuff. Any way you do it, if you want to kill the person or you want to let them leave Far Harbor or leave the island, then either way you get it. So yeah, the radiation damage, pretty useless because the only person or the only people that would be weakened by this is like humans. That's about it. Next is the automatic, which can only be found on the automatic laser musket given to you by Sturgis. If you destroy the Institute with the Minutemen, Sturgis gives it to you. That one, it's pretty cool. It's confusing, but it's pretty cool to do. And I highly advise that if you are a commando person who's working with the Minutemen, I highly advise you use that one. If you guys can keep a steady supply of fusion cells. So yeah. Anyways, the charging legendary effect. Irradiates users, can be charged up to 5 times, and is found on a salvaged Assaultron head if you have the Automatron DLC. Now, I hate radiation in this game. So the fact that they have a gun that just irradiates the user is so stupid. So yeah, and this is another one of like my pet peeves, or one of the problems I have with the Gauss rifle in Fallout New Vegas, is that it takes one shot before you reload, but if you don't have the YCS gun, unique Gauss rifle, then it shoots 5 microfusion cells, which you don't get back, kinda. I don't think you get all of them back. I think you get some of them back. So yeah, and the fact that it's charged up to 5 times and then you remove that, it's kind of the same with the laser musket, but the laser musket's a bit more forgivable because you can lower, you can modify it to like have a max up to like 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think 6. But plus, I mean, the laser musket doesn't irradiate the person, so that's good, or the user. Next is Grognak's Axe. Hits cause more stagger and targets take bleeding damage. And it can be found on Grognak's Axe in a display case in Huber's Comics. I forgot you do need the lockpick skill to get it. I don't know which one. I think it's expert, either advanced or expert. If it's master, then I didn't know that. So yeah. Next is the Lucky Eddie, +2 to luck. It can be found on the Lucky Eddie perk, or the Lucky Eddie weapon, which you get by standing with Alan or joining Alan Lee and destroying Acadia. The way to do that is to reveal the truth about Captain Avery to Alan Lee. He will then choose to destroy Acadia, and if you go with, and if you let him, and if he does it and you go with him, then he will give this to you. And what's pretty cool about this is it only gives you +2 luck if you have it equipped and not holstered, I think. So yeah. Next is Lightning. Fires an electrical charge that arcs between targets, and it's found on the Tesla rifle, which is the only unique weapon that was added to, well, okay, never mind, because I just talked about the Assaultron head. But it is one of the more recognizable, I guess the more recognizable add-on weapon in Automatron. So yeah, this was pretty cool. It is, I think, a commando weapon. I think it's only an automatic weapon. I'm not sure, but this it's pretty cool to see it in action. The M4 carbine, lighter weight change the ammo type to 556, +25% fire rate and -15% reload time. And it's found on December's Child, which is a unique, what is it? A unique combat rifle. So yeah, it is a combat rifle that shoots 556s, has increased fire rate and quicker reload time, and it is lighter. I heard it's not better to replace the assault rifle. I'm not sure. Next is Krem's Tooth, or the Sacrificial Blade, and one of the 2 modifications that can be removed. The Sacrificial Blade does exceptional damage and deals poison and bleeding damage. And the blade itself is on Krem's Tooth. And this can be added to any machete, which means if you have a legendary machete, you can add on to that to do poison. So like if for some reason you have if you end up getting a VAT enhanced machete, you can get that, and you have 40% less VAT usage or AP usage in VATs, and you can do poison damage with that machete. So it's pretty cool. And it is the best. Next is Shemdrown Sword. It deals radiation damage, and it can be found on this Shemdrown Sword. You get this by doing the Golden Grasshopper. There are two ways of getting this. One is simply getting the Grasshopper at top of Faneuil Hall, and two is by starting is by doing one of the two stuff for Nick Valentine and Ellie. But you can easily get this without. You can even do this without meeting Nick Valentine or Ellie. You can probably even do this by not even going to Diamond City. I don't know why you would do that. It's not that good. But yeah, it is modifiable just like a regular revolutionary sword. So yeah, next is the Striker. This one has two legendary effects. One of them is removable. The one that is removable is shoots modified bowling balls. So this is on a Fat Man, which means you can have Big Boy, and then it can shoot modified bowling balls, which is fucking useless because they can easily move out the way. But if you shoot if you make one of these modified bowling balls that you get just by simply having the thing, I think you have to go through a laptop to get it. If you get Big Boy and you make one of those shoots two, and you can easily pick those up, meaning you have you could basically have an infinite number of these bowling balls. I don't know why you would. But the next one that isn't a removable modifier, which is on the weapon itself that came with the Striker, is Striker. 50% chance to cripple the target's leg, and it's found on the Striker. Again, this is kind of like Kneecapper, except it does more damage or higher percentage. And next is the World Series logo. This one is pretty fun. Chance to send targets flying. It is not removable, and it can be found on the 2076 World Series baseball bat found in Jamaica Plains. I haven't seen this one in action, but it's pretty funny. I've seen videos of it, and it's pretty damn funny. So I don't know what the chances are. I think it's like the higher your luck, then the higher chance you have of hitting it. I'm not sure. Nate talked about it, or the Epic Nate talked about it. So yeah, that is all the weapon legendary effects. I know I said I was going to do armor, but I am sitting on the floor. My leg is getting tired. I am pantsless, and I've been going on for too long. So yeah, I need to wrap this video up. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. Also, if you found it helpful, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below your favorite legendary effects, weapon-wise, because this isn't the armor video. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for more of these videos that I'll be putting out for like a month, the next month or so, however long it takes me to go over all the important information. If you do subscribe, hit that bell notification, because I don't have a schedule, so it would be nice for you guys to hit it. Also, if you hit that subscribe button, we will be close to 20 subscribers, and so that would really help out this channel a lot. It would make me very happy, because I made this channel almost 10 years ago, and I've gone absolutely nowhere with it, and this is the only time I'm starting this. So yeah, Loser Manic out.